strong, empowered, authentic.
What's up, Ginger Nation? This is Tosh.
This is Darren, and you are listening to the Authentic
Ginger Podcast. Welcome to the Authentic Ginger Podcast. I'm Tosh Taylor.
And I'm Darren Roach, and on today's show is independent country singer-songwriter and domestic abuse survivor with apparently, as she says, no soul. Described as a mix between Ed Sheeran, Eva Cassidy, The Shires, London Grammar, Kate Bush, and Newton Faulkner. Now, with 100 followers on Instagram, she's become a social influencer with her fiery red hair, haven't heard that before, and by making music and singing to help her own well-being and others who connect with her as a person and through her music. Welcome to the show, Kirsty. How are you doing today?
Hello, I'm good, thank you.
I wanted to start with a correction because you said she has 100 followers on Instagram, and that is incorrect.
Sorry.
Yeah.
100,000.
You don't look very old to me, so I want to know, how did you manage to get that many followers already?
I'm older than I look, just to let you know that.
It's the ginger skin. Yeah.
Yeah, it's one thing people like underestimate with me, and it's weird. I get a lot of predators on my Instagram over it, but I'm actually 33 and I'm 34 in a few months' time. But yeah, it's just years of building. I had my own Redhead page, which you might have seen, Ginger's Girls Galore. And I built up my following basically by being an admin there. I'm not as active as I should be on it because I'm busy now with my businesses and my music. But yeah, I think I just built it up from the red hair really, and people see the music as a bonus.
Your hair is very, very, very red. And I am envious of it. And I bet you get that an awful lot. However, something that Darren and I like to talk about in the show is growing up as a redhead. And with your hair being that red, I want to know what it was like for you.
I think if I lived in America, it would have been a completely different story. But in England, red hair is just a no-no. You get picked on massively as a child. It's quite bad. I got egged, I got stoned, I got called all the names you could think of. And it was horrible. And even my mum kind of cursed me because she said, as she was giving birth to me, she shouted, "I don't want a redhead baby." And they said, "Sorry, love, that's what you've got." Because my hair's really, really curly and really it's like a deeper red rather than a bright orange red. So my mum's like, so long as it's not bright orange, I'm happy with that. It's a nice red. But I came out with a full head of hair, curls everywhere. And my mum ended up loving it. But obviously she didn't love how I was treated in school and stuff like that. But yeah, younger years are funny because as soon as I got older, everyone's like, "Oh, you're a unicorn," and redheads really looked upon in a completely different way, especially on Instagram. And when I went to Nashville to do some gigs and stuff, I was literally just stopped on the street and people were just like praising me all the time. And I kept thinking to myself, I really want to live in America because people love me more.
How old were you at that point in time when this was all kind of happening for you? If we just dive back there for a few seconds.
I mean, it happened from when I started school, really, from the age of 7, I can remember, right up until the age of 18, because I did my GCSEs and then I went into my A-levels and I was still getting bullied in those last 2 years. Crazy. I still get people say nasty things now, especially online. People say horrible things about like the color of my skin or the color of my hair, and they always make those redhead jokes, don't they? I just think we never really escape it. I don't know if it's just something that happens in the UK, like, because I know it's very different over in America, because when I speak to my friends who are from America or other parts of the country, they say, I never ever had that in school, but in England redhead is just seen as like just something to pick on, basically.
Yeah, what's interesting too is that, in North America, I mean, we're in Canada, and not that it hasn't been an issue. I have a son who's 22 now, and he experienced bullying for his red hair as well, and several other people that we've talked to from North America have experienced maybe not quite the extreme that you've mentioned to us here today, but still to the point where it's noticeable and it's harmful. It's hard for people's well-being sometimes. One of the things that I ask in this situation here with yourself, Kirsty, is Do you recognize that happening? I know it was happening because it was happening to you. But what do you think about during those years? Do you think about coloring your hair? Do you think about shaving it off? Do you think about anything like that when you're going home going like, what the hell was that? Like,
When I was younger, definitely, I come home and I cried in the cupboard for 2 days for my hair to be cut off. So I definitely did that. I also remember wanting to dye it like blonde or something just to kind of fit in. But luckily, I had a very supportive mum and family that always said to me, look, keep the hair because it is just jealousy and you will see it as time goes on. You'll recognize that people pick on you or constantly dig at you at the things that they're jealous of. So I started to believe that in myself. I think if I didn't have the support from my mum and a few nice friends, I probably would have gone really in on myself. But I started to see as I grew older, yes, it was a jealousy thing. And my red hair actually is like my signature thing that gets me a bit of attention in life. And I started loving it after that, I guess. But yeah, I definitely went through the whole stage of wanting to get rid of it.
one thing I like to ask also, Kirsty, is when you're going through life, even today, do you get offended by the word ginger?
No, I called my page Ginger Girls Galore. No, I think a lot of people do. I refer to it more as Redhead because I think it sounds nicer. But if someone called me a ginger, all right, you're right, Ginge, I'm just like, hey, you're good. I just accept it.
Yeah,
I don't
that's
let any word offend me. I just think a word is a word in life, and I think if you take offense to it, it's only going to make you unhappy. So I kind of just accept anything I'm called, and yeah, that's me.
wow. Yeah, that's great. Did you have that? Did you have that attitude too back in school?
No, no, I was
No.
completely quiet. I was really in on myself. I hardly spoke to anyone. I was basically called this weird witch because I'd just be really quiet and just give daggers to people. So I think they thought I was like cursed or not cursed, or do you know what I mean? Like some weirdo that's just like, go away, shut up. Whereas now I speak up for myself and I'm a lot more confident. So yeah, no, it was definitely a lot different when I was younger, but I've built on that. I've worked on that part of myself.
Confidence seems to be, your middle name. I mean, from photos to music to just getting on there and doing whatever the heck you want to do, and just keeping the noise away. I mean, if that's not you, and that's not who I'm seeing, I'd be surprised. I mean, it just seems like that's exactly who you have become.
No, definitely. I've actually met up with a few people off Instagram and they all said to me, I'm really surprised you're exactly how like perceive you and see you online. You're just as weird and you're just as
Yeah.
bubbly. And they say you're just the same. And they even said I was surprised. I almost thought a little bit of it was fake, but they all said, actually, no, you are just exactly the same. And I think that comes with age. As you get older, with some of us, we kind of just think, do you know what? Like, I don't care what people think of me. I'm just going to be 100% myself. If you don't like me, you don't like me. If you like me, you like me. And I just like to show that online too.
I feel like that. Yeah, I feel like that hit me at about 30, 31. And I was like, yeah, I'm done here. This is going to be me. And then the confidence comes in. But you have a much more in the public eye job. So how do you go from this shy shooting daggers little girl to a musician? How did that happen?
Well, I picked up the guitar when I was 7 and then just had this I just had this absolute love to sing, and mum was never given opportunities when she was younger. She just said, whatever you want to do, I will try and do for you as much as I can. We didn't have much money, but she said, if there's something you really love, we'll push that. So she took me to like youth groups and stuff like that, and slowly built my confidence up. I went from singing to backing tracks with a couple of people to having a couple of singing lessons and being put on stage at school and just coming out of myself. And I think the first time I stood on stage in school and sang and I got compliments over it, and people that wouldn't normally speak to me spoke to me, made me think, oh, this is what I want to do, because I felt so like this uplift inside of me. And like mental health wise, I would not be without music. If I didn't have music, I think I'd be a completely different person, because it brings out something in me, and then I just wanted more and more and more of it, and then I got here.
Did you model your early singing aspirations from any particular artists that kind of caught your ear?
It's my dad's influence. He used to play a lot of Willie Nelson, Dolly Parton, and I used to listen to a lot of that kind of music. But to be honest, my taste in music was like S Club 7 and the Spice Girls, because I was a 90s child.
Yes.
So I was born in the late 80s, grew up in the 90s. So really, in my head, I thought I was going to be this pop star that sung cheesy songs. And I used to write cheesy songs. The first song I wrote was something like Dream of Having a Boyfriend, which we all know I don't want right now. And and I just think, I don't know, I think my voice just kind of molded, and my guitar playing just kind of molded to the countryside, and everyone said to me, oh, you sound like you'd be really good at country, or you sound like you're a country musician. And I think that's why I molded to that side, but definitely a little bit of influence from my younger years too.
It's interesting, that genre for you too, because like, I mean, and I could be completely wrong. I have not spent an awful lot of time in the UK, but I feel like, is country music really big there?
I don't think it's as big as in America, because
Mhm.
I think 25% of my followers on Instagram are Americans. I think there is a lot of people that love it in England, because I'm doing a wedding in September, which is all country themed, all country music. I'm singing for 3 hours.
So not only do you stand out as a redhead, but you stand out as a country singing redhead, which is probably, as you say, rare, much more rare than it is over here in North America. So I mean, good for you. You've paved your path.
Thank you. Yeah, that I know a few people that like the country theme, that are local musicians, but I know a lot of people that book me say we can't really find country singers, and they all go, I wish I could go to Nashville because there's loads of them there. But yeah, I'm sure there's more than I know of.
I'm also thinking of, like, do you get comparisons simply because you're a redheaded country singer to Reba or to the Judds?
No, everyone just calls me the redhead lady version of Ed Sheeran. That's what I get called.
Nothing wrong with that.
Exactly. No, I'm happy with that. I love him. So, but no, my favorite redhead singer is
Newton Faulkner. Give Tosh and I a bit of a quick demo on who he is and how cool it is that you guys are buds on Instagram.
Yeah, so basically he liked one of my pictures on Instagram a while back, and obviously he realized I was a musician and I followed him, so he followed me back. And then I went to one of his gigs where he was signing CDs and stuff, and I just went up to him and I was like, do you know who I am? And he just said, of course I know who you are. And my heart was just like, oh my God, like this is like my favorite artist ever. I completely inspired him, and he knew who I was. It was madness.
Wow.
But yeah, he had a really big hit in the charts, called Dream Catch Me, and he's more of a back artist. Like, he does it as a job, and I think he makes a lot of money out of it, and he does really well. He's got a big audience and following, but he's just very humble, and he's more independent. He's not right in the limelight, but he's just got the amount of fame which would be like I'd appreciate having myself. So yeah, it was great.
It's not easy being a musician. I have a lot of musician friends, and I can't even, like, the amount of work that goes into constantly touring and constantly trying to get gigs. Like, how much, like, you're not doing this as a full-time job right now?
So yeah, music is my full-time job,
Okay.
but I've also got my own music school, so I teach as well. So it's all music related stuff. So yeah, I opened my music school back in July, and I started teaching in August. So I do that kind of as my week job, and then I do weddings and festivals and gigs mainly during the weekends and Fridays.
So you never stop. Okay. Yeah.
No, I never stop. Like, literally, if I do get a weekend off, I'll definitely be out in the sunshine, but I get disappointed if it's raining. But yeah, in the day I'm cleaning because of everything that's been going on. You've got to do extra cleaning now. And then I'm lesson planning, and then I'll have my students in the evenings. But then if I've got gigs or I'm doing weddings, I've got songs I've got to learn, and it just never stops. And then all the YouTube stuff, because I've got 2 YouTube channels now, all the editing that goes into that, and people are saying, you making new music, and I'm like, I haven't had time for that yet, but I really need to find some time. Hopefully I will. I
Yeah.
love it though. I think I'm not a person that ever really stops. I like to keep going. Even if I have a day out, if I have a day off, I'll literally go for a really long walk somewhere. I'm not a person to kind of just sit there. I have to always be active.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know what I'm interested to know too is when you started your music school, I'm just wondering if that was an outlet for you, another music outlet that gets your mind into the depths of song, of notes, of anything that has to do with music, and then to share that opportunity. Is that kind of the reason why you might have started this school?
Definitely, for sure. I think it was a mix of stuff. So I'm also a qualified nursery nurse. I'm level 3 nursery nurse, which is kind of what I was doing on the side of my music before I launched the school. And when I was in the schools, in the nursery schools doing this, I would always get out a ukulele and do music sessions with the children. And back when I was 20, 19, I always used to say to myself, I need to have my own music school and I want to be doing this, whether it's early years, young adults, like children. That's what I want. And it took a long time because it took a lot of saving, but I got there eventually, and now I do it as a job, and I just love it. I've just got this natural ability with children, as well as being a musician. I'm really good with children. I don't want children of my own, but I'm really good with other people's children, so it's a perfect job, really.
You get to
You
give
get
them
to
back.
send them home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. I like my lions if I can have them.
Yeah.
When you're singing at weddings, you can't, like, I'm sure you're not taking, a Britney Spears song and turning it into a country tune.
I do sometimes, actually. It's
Oh
weird
my God,
you say that.
I want to hear
So-
it.
So on my YouTube, I've got I do Mamma Mia by ABBA, and that's a really overplayed song, but I countrified it, and everyone just said you've given it so much freshness. So if you go on YouTube and type in Kirsty Clinch Mamma Mia, it's like a country version of the song. So yeah,
Awesome.
I think every song I cover, it could be anything like Britney Spears, anything really. I do pop songs, country songs, but I always put my own little twist to it. And a lot of people say, well, oh, the craziest one I did was Chop Suey. It was voted on it was voted on Instagram to do a cover of it, and they were like, oh, I bet you can't do this
Oh
one to
my
your own.
God.
And I managed it, and everyone loved it. I was like, thank God I didn't disappoint them, because it was
That's
completely different to the original.
when you're at weddings, it happens all the time. Hey, play Journey, or hey, play whatever song, and you're like, you probably have this kind of repertoire that's really broad. Obviously, you're doing chop suey, but do you get that a lot where someone's they just keep asking you to play songs that are absolutely not on your set list, but all of a sudden you're like, all right, I'll do that one.
I'm not one of those people that keeps all the chords and lyrics in my head. If I haven't played a song for a while, they're out. I'm like, I can't remember that one, but I just look it up on my phone. Like the other day, someone asked me to do "Follow Me" by Uncle Cracker. Like I know the song, but I couldn't really remember it, so I just typed it into my phone. Luckily, I had reception, and just literally just tried to play it from my phone. And half of them are drunk, so if you go wrong, it doesn't matter. Make it up. If it sounds kind of all right, they know, so they're happy. But yeah, it's good fun.
It also comes down to your confidence too. I'm a radio announcer, and if I don't know how to pronounce something, I say it like I know know how to pronounce it. And if you're up there and you're singing these words with confidence, they're gonna go, "Huh, maybe I've been wrong all these years."
Yeah,
You must know it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or you just literally say, look, this is my version of the song. This
Yeah.
is my version of the
Yes.
words. Like,
So look, Kirsty, your new album is out. It's called Evolution. And I just wanted to talk a little bit about that. So what I've read is that it is about your battle with domestic violence, social media, and your life all combined into one. That's pretty heavy,
Yeah.
and your music and just kind of trying to find a positive light, as you say, and I quote, positive lights at the end of the tunnel. Take us through the development of this record, at the start of it, really, and where did it all come from? Where did it stem from? And why is it about this? And how it made you feel at the end of it?
Yeah, so basically I've been wanting to release music online for years, and I'd never done it, and I just had this whole wad of songs that I needed to do something with. So finally got to record it in my bedroom and released it in the September. But some of the songs are 5 years old or more, and I've just never really put them out there, mainly because of maybe being in the situation at the time, like especially the domestic abuse songs, I didn't want, when you're in that situation, you don't want people to really know about it. You don't talk about it that much. And obviously you don't want your abuser to listen to it. So it was kind of something you kind of keep to yourself. And then when I finally got out of that situation, in fact, there were two different men, but it was just my battle. And it just felt like the perfect time to tell my story. Now I've got rid of the bad parts and now I'm working on myself. This is my perfect time to tell my story. I wanted to talk about Nashville in not in an obvious way, just about kind of going and grabbing your dreams, because that's what I did. And that's where it kind of all built from, really. And I just picked my favorite songs, which ones were more subtly about the abuse, about telling too much. So it was more relatable for everybody, men and women, not just the situation of everyone always says it's the men that abuses women, but it's not, it's the other way too. So I wanted it to be relatable to everybody. There's a lot of men that actually came to me saying thank you for this song, because people don't see our side of it sometimes either. So I'm proud I got it out there. And then there's ones like Round and Around, which are just kind of inspirational. You can probably tell I don't write a lot of love songs, and if they are love songs, they're not happy. But that's just because my songs are like the diary of my life, and that's just the experiences that I've had. I've had some nice boyfriends, but not in a romantic kind of way. And the last couple of boyfriends that I've had long periods of time with have not been nice, and I've just been stuck in this situation. So Evolution was kind of how I got to this point, and it tells the story of all those years ago, and I should have done it sooner. I shouldn't have waited to this moment, but I finally did it, and it's never too late to start, is it? So
no, it's not. And do you find that you're purposely burying your story to the point where only you can really pick out what's happening so that it becomes relatable to other people?
Yeah, I think I do have a lot more personal songs I've never put out there. It's kind of when you're in the moment, and I like to write it all down then, it's quite angry, and I just think that it's just not right for my audience, if you know what I mean. It's not the right thing I want to put out. It might be a bit too personal, and I don't want any backlash from that, if you know what I mean. So then I make sure that I just put out the kind of songs that are a little bit more mellow, so people can relate for sure.
So on this album, you wrote the title track. I don't know. No, sorry, it's not the title track. It's the first track off the record, called Redhead. You know we're going to want to know what that was about, and tell us about that song. Take us through it.
So it's basically what I told you right from the start, like how I was bullied. It talks about like the people throwing eggs at my head and throwing stones at my head. And it's just the journey, basically. It's just me saying to all of my bullies, this is what you did to me. This is how I felt. But this is how I am now. And you can talk to me down and down as much as you want, but I will always rise above it. And it's almost like wishing them well, even though they were really nasty to me, but at the same time saying, but you didn't get to me and I'm still cool. So
Awesome.
And I'm still writing, so
exactly.
I really think that a lot of these bullies, I think it really backfired on them, because I'm finding from the people we're interviewing that like redheads grow up to be so freaking dynamic and so confident, and I really think that these bullies in some way, shape, or form had something to do with that.
To be honest, I think that is literally it. Like a lot of people say, oh, you got bullied in school, you've met all these nasty men that have always put you down. Like, how are you so confident despite all of that? But I just kind of I'm not one of those people that something bad happens to and I'll let myself get down about that. I'll have my down days. I'm not going to lie. Like, I have panic attacks, I have bad moments, I have triggers. That's understandable, but I don't let it affect my whole life. I always think, like, if someone treats you that badly, kind of use that as an incentive to push yourself to a better place. And which is why the album got made, because it's all full of bad stuff, but it's got such a positive aspect to it as well, that even though all this bad stuff has happened, actually that's driven me to make something good out of it. I've made art from that. And I've always said that every musician probably goes through bad relationships because they're meant to make good art. And
how liberating does that feel too at the same time? Like, just being a redhead, just being in Redhead is just, as you said, Tosh, these bullies, at the end of the day, the liberation that comes out of being in Redhead is just, I'll say it again, it's off the charts.
Okay, well, Kirsty, we have so loved having you on the show today, and I'm hoping that you can point everybody in the right direction to get yourself, to get themselves on your music and on your music school too.
So the music page is First Melodies. That's got its own Instagram, and the website, if anyone's interested in looking into that further, is www.firstmelodies.com. And basically, I also sell early years books and stuff like that, which have got songs on that I green screen it and dance around with characters. There's a lot to it, so it's worth checking out.
You're amazing. I just want you to know that.
Thank you. I'm scatty and I'm clumsy, but I'm creative, so it makes up for it.
As far as your website, people can find you at www.kirstyclinchmusic.com. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay. And then on Instagram, it's at Kirsty_Clinch, CLINCH.
Yeah, that's it. If you type in Kirsty Clinch or Google, you'll find whatever you need to find on there.
Awesome. That is so great. Thank you so much again. And we look forward to following your adventures and your music.
Well, thank you for having me, guys.
You've been listening to the Authentic Ginger Podcast.
Become a part of the Ginger Nation by liking, subscribing, following, and leaving a review wherever you listen to podcasts. This podcast was produced by Tosh Taylor of the Podcast Hub Productions. Find her online at podcasthub.ca.